Should you choose divorce or forbearance after being betrayed? The key factor is actually this. Hello everyone, I'm Dudu. Faced with betrayal, many people always stand at a crossroads and look around in confusion. It seems that no matter what they choose, they can't satisfy themselves. If they divorce, they feel that they can't give up this relationship, can't let go of everything in the past, and are afraid of the unknown and risks they are about to face. If they don't divorce, it seems that the rest of the days are just forbearance. Once betrayal occurs, this relationship is like being branded with infidelity, and it can never go back to the perfect past. Faced with this complex and entangled situation, what is the right choice? Is it better to divorce or to forbearance? When you are trapped in a situation and can't make a decision, it is likely that neither of them is the correct answer. At this time, the only way to overcome this limitation and find your own third path is to jump out of the limitations of your thinking and truly solve your own problems. Many people feel that their whole world has collapsed when they are betrayed, because for them true integrity has a fixed form, that is to grow old together in a relationship, and betrayal undoubtedly casts a shadow of infidelity on the existing relationship and forces her to face the choice of leaving or staying. But for her, both choices are just compromises. The only difference is whether she is more willing to. This dilemma of not wanting to be, but having no way out is a scene that most people who have been betrayed are very familiar with. When life is condensed into this unwilling to choice proposition, people will suffer in it because no matter which direction they look, their future seems to be foreseeable, gray and dead. At this time, the choice is not a rebirth, an opportunity, but a kind of giving up, a complete collapse, just like giving you to fire pits and letting you decide which one will be your burial place. In this case, the choice itself becomes an unsolvable proposition. After all, no one wants to embark on a road without any vitality and love. So in order to avoid deeper despair, we have to postpone the deadline for making a decision again and again, until we think there is no way out, and finally, we have to choose a road that seems to be okay to continue. But unfortunately, this choice only temporarily puts an end to the confusion and pain of your wandering at the crossroads. Whether you choose to endure or divorce in the end, you will soon find that there are endless new troubles creeping into your mind. This trouble may be the uneasiness of being affected by the other party's every move after continuing the relationship, the rejection and resistance to the repeated flashbacks of the betrayal scene, the loneliness and fear after leaving the original relationship, and the hopelessness of being self-responsible, but constantly frustrated and hit by reality. In the end, you will find that whether you are wavering between these two choices or choosing one to step into it, your painful emotions will always follow you, and your life will find it difficult to cross the shadow brought by betrayal. The essential reason for this dilemma is that you have fallen into a narrow thinking dilemma from the beginning and have not solved your real problems. In psychology, we call this kind of reality dilemma caused by cognitive solidification, psychological tunnel vision, which mainly refers to the fact that due to factors such as pressure, fear, anxiety, or long-term difficulties, people's attention and thinking range will become extremely narrow, and they can only see the things or choices directly in front of them, while ignoring a broader environment and possible choice. This narrow vision prevents individuals from looking at problems from a broader perspective and limits their ability to find ways out or innovative solutions. In fact, the vast majority of people who have been betrayed are not really without a way out, but can only struggle between two desperate choices. The real reality may be that, when they are betrayed, this huge blow severely limits their ability to expand their thinking, making them mistakenly believe that they have no way to break through the current predicament and can only wander among limited choices, ignoring other possibilities. On the surface, when a person is betrayed, it seems that there are only two options: forgiveness and divorce. However, in different psychological states and cognitive modes, these two choices are presented in completely different ways. Just as you'll understand continuing as forbearance and divorce as separation, when you are always in a tunnel vision, you can only see the negative side behind the choice, magnify those parts that you cannot overcome, and solidify those realities that originally have room for adjustment. But the real world is often not what you understand and imagine in your mind. In addition to the choice of either this or that, you can completely open up a third path, such as treating continuing as a journey to repair the relationship and treating divorce as a new world of self-exploration. The difference lies in whether you have updated your cognitive mode after betrayal and dealt with your own issues. For people who have been betrayed, if you want to get out of the tunnel vision and see broader possibilities, you can't write a start from the following aspects, clarify the contradictions in the relationship. Many times, pain actually comes from ambiguity. The clearer your understanding of a thing is and the more familiar you are with its operating logic, the more you can accept it calmly and deal with it from a common rational perspective. Take betrayal, for example. Why do you think that forgiveness and continuing are equivalent to forbearance? This actually reflects a misunderstanding of relationships. That is, you think that a good relationship must be pure and consistent, and once there's any flaw in it, it will completely destroy the purity of the relationship and you will never be able to get rid of its influence. But in reality, you will find that this cognition is actually full of contradictions, including you yourself will often think about some questions in your heart, such as betrayal mean that our previous good past is fake? He betrayed me. Why can't I let him go emotionally? He betrayed me. Why did he act so painful and want to return to his family? Such contradictions actually highlight your cognitive loopholes, and it is reminding you in an uncoordinated way that you have not fully understood this topic. Then for you, what is really effective at this time is to thoroughly delve into these problems that lie in front of you and figure them out thoroughly until you really realize that, oh, it turns out that feelings themselves cannot be solidified. It turns out that people themselves are complex and fluid. It turns out that betrayal can't end your relationship. It turns out that emotional connection is the core of maintaining marriage, etc. When you have these cognitive updates, you can get out of the tunnel like thinking of the past and no longer understand the limitations of betrayal as a stain on marriage, but regard it as an opportunity to change the way you get along with each other. At this point, forbearance will not be the only possibility to continue on this path. It can be seen that the essence of narrow vision is actually the unupdated cognition. As long as these contradictory problems are not solved, you will continue to suffer from repeated problems with these cognitions that cannot reality. This is the root cause of your constant wandering in the wrong choice, because in a vague world, any choice is a risk and a blow to you, and only when you really overcome these issues can you see the correct possibility. The actual and specific choices are linked. Another reason for tunnel vision is the lack of exploration of the outside world. If cognitive ambiguity is a kind of fixed thinking, that is, it is impossible to think of other possibilities, then the restriction of one's own abilities will also cause some people to see other possibilities, but they do not believe that they can do it. This is actually a lack of confidence. Why do you think that other possibilities will not happen to you even if they exist? To a large extent, it is because most people do not really try to do anything, but just stay in their own thinking world and repeatedly consume themselves unrehearsed disasters. For example, even if you see cases where trust is restored after betrayal, or even the relationship is better than before, you still feel that your relationship has reached an irreversible situation and that it is futile to do anything, where you see some people living a prosperous and wonderful life after divorce, but attribute the reason to others being more capable than themselves. This state of lack of confidence will directly lead to a person's suppression of the possibility of his or her own choices. Feeling that you are incapable is actually another dimension of invisibility. The most direct way is to try to experience these paths, to connect with these possibilities in a specific way, and then see what happens. Many people always feel that they cannot eliminate their resentment about betrayal, but when they really try to communicate with their partners and see the fragility and powerlessness under the strong mask of the other party, the hatred collapses in an instant, and the desire to establish emotional connection prevails. Some people regard divorce as a miserable situation of loneliness and helplessness, but when they really try to live alone and experience the freedom of being out of the relationship, they find that they have always had the ability to build a life. In the final analysis, expanding possibilities is to expand the circle at both the psychological and practical levels. It is impossible for a person to make the right choice in a state of solidified cognition and insufficient action, because with such a limited vision and atrophied action power, almost no one can see those broader possibilities, and each choice will inevitably lead to pain on new failures because of these problems. And you will eventually realize that good choices are never compared, but naturally appear in front of you after you overcome cognitive contradictions and fully connect with various possibilities. When you no longer feel that you have to choose one of the two bad choices, you are really close to the most correct choice.